Thank you, Steve. Right, the next speaker is Pat Bryant, and I'm really going to be interested in what she has to say. She knows her subject matter. So will you all please welcome to the front of the room, Pat Bryant.
Hello everyone. Unaccustomed as I am to turning up anywhere in a dress, you just can't believe how difficult this is going to be. Oh, sorry about that. Right, I wanted to talk about councils and the rural economy, the rural community. You've got three levels of councils. Parish and town basically run along the same lines. What can you do? What can't you do? In terms of, is that one not working?
It's not picking you up very well.
Right.
That's better point.
All right. In terms of planning, there isn't much you can do as a parish council. We've recently, in the parish council of which I'm a member, had an application for the building of 52 houses on grade 2 agricultural land outside of the neighbourhood plan. As a parish council, we cannot go there and say no. We don't have that power. It goes to the county. The residents of the village have been very upset with us because we wouldn't issue an opinion until we'd had a village meeting, because as a parish council we represent the wishes of the village. So we've had that village meeting, we have a unanimous decision, we can now go to the council, to the unitary authority with an objection. But Joe Public doesn't understand that the parish councils have little more power in planning applications than your average citizen. We can comment. We can comment in favour or we can object. You can all do the same. So you are limited as to what you can do. However, I would say to somebody who's setting up something in a local village or whatnot, if they're setting up a business, go and get your local parish councillors on board. Because whilst they can't facilitate it, they can be a damn nuisance in stopping things. You know, we have this experience. We have somebody who wants to set up a health hub on a farm. One of the parish councillors doesn't like that idea. He's campaigning against it all the way around. So you can block things, but you can't make them happen. Your support will not count with the planning officer. Ironically, I took on a new client 6 months ago, the planning inspectorate. So if you've got planning inquiries, then please, feel free to ask. But also feel free, because what you need to have is a neighbourhood plan. And if you haven't got a neighbourhood plan, you've got a real problem in stopping development outside of it. So you should have a neighbourhood plan. The planning inspectorate has people that it employs to facilitate neighbourhood plans. Go to them, ask for advice. They're not, they're not difficult to deal with, let's put it that way. So let's move on to the unitary councils. Unitary councils, and really hugely with regard to the local economy, it's about planning, because anybody who's watched Clarkson's Farm, and if you haven't, please do. All right, it should be absolutely mandatory that everybody who wants to be a councillor sits down and watches it, because it will show you how. I'm sure Jeremy Clarkson's not the easiest person in the world to deal with, but he is trying to produce a business there. He's trying to run a business. He opens a shop. They don't like it because it gets customers. So then they don't like it because the customers park on the grass verges. So they tell him that he's got to have a bigger car park. And he puts in planning permission for a bigger car park, and they say, no, you can't do that. Right. So he opens a restaurant that he doesn't think he needs planning for. And technically, I don't think he probably does. Right. But they issue an enforcement order, and they close him down, and they stop him, put him in a track on his own farm. This is all ridiculous. What you have to remember when you're looking at things as a unitary councillor is that there is a directive from government that says you must look on farm diversification with every favour possible. Because government it doesn't want to pay for food, so it means that farmers have to get an income from somewhere else. So, but this is obviously escaped South Oxfordshire District Council. I do know that that Jeremy Clarkson is appealing against the enforcement order, and that's being heard on the 14th of March. We will see what the outcome is of that. However, it's not just about what people are developing, it's about change of use for land. For instance, if you want to turn your farm into a riding school, you have to have planning permission to change the use from agricultural to equestrian. If you want to set up a dog training school on your land, on one of your fields, you have to apply for planning for change of use. And it will go through the same planning procedures as it would do if you were applying for permission to build a house. And I think that the default option is, the answer is no, what's the question? But if you don't do this in the countryside, people will just give up and go away. And don't think that because it's rural, because I'm talking about rural economy, that the larger conurbations can't affect it. If you look at what's happening at the moment in Bath and North East Somerset, Bath is very happily with its liberal and green credentials, creating, they're not calling it a 15-minute city, but it's a clean air zone, and they're blocking this out and that out. And how are they paying for it? By reducing the subsidies to the rural bus services. So how are people going to get about? They force you into a car for which you pay a fine when you get there. You get into this city and they have built on half the car parks, and you pay a fortune to park your car and get fined for it. So what do? You don't go there anymore. You order online. It kills the high street. It kills the local economy. People can't get to work. So what you're doing is creating more poverty in those areas by doing those kinds of things. You have to think about the wider picture when you're getting involved in these things. And the other thing I wanted to actually say to you, which is on a community issue, as a councillor, very often you will get invited to become a member of a board of governors of a school. Take it up. You can have influence as a local authority governor of a school. You have an influence and you have an insight into what goes on in those areas. And particularly in the small village schools, it's needed because the facilities are not there, and that gives you the opportunity as a councillor to go back into the education department and say, we need, and to actually start to facilitate things at the bottom of the ground there. I know we're running late, so please find me if you've got questions that I'll happily answer.
Thank you, Pat.